At the time, we had moved to Italy and from Lebanon. And I came here, I was 8 years old. And actually came like in the middle of December or something. Cold weather and went in 1948 to Whittinghame.
And your father, your family was originally from Aleppo?
Yes. My father, his parents and his grandparents, old Aleppo people.
And your father had worked a lot in Asia, I think?
Yes, he was in India and he was in China, Japan.
Do you know what type of work he was doing in China?
Whatever, whatever worked. He was very determined to succeed and would work. But his true knowledge was actually textiles. He knew what would sell, the pricing, all this. But then he did a lot of financial transactions as well.
In China?
In China, in Shanghai, and in what was then Bombay. And he left, he managed to leave Shanghai the night before Pearl Harbor. So he was very lucky. His other uncles ended up in prison camps for the duration of the war, and he got to India. And my brother and sister were born in India. And soon after the war ended, he basically started the trip back home to Aleppo.
But he didn't stay in Aleppo?
Well, he stayed, the welcoming home after he, in effect, left when he was almost, he was 17 years old. And he came back, it would have been probably in his 30s.
So how did you experience your arrival to Whittinghame? What do you remember about that?
Well, cold night, foggy day, foggy night, meeting the Halevi that same night into his study, and it's terrifying, especially for somebody whose last few years prior to Milan were in Beirut and wasn't used to the cold, wasn't used to the fog, and here we were. And I felt like being abandoned. Why are they doing this to me? What did I do that at 8 years old I deserve to be sent to Brighton?
And when you came to the school in 1948, 47, 48,
Yeah.
Where were the students from at that point?
Mostly English. Mostly English. Almost everybody was. There was maybe some people, but I was the second Syrian to go to the school.
How did you find establishing and making friendships with the boys?
It was very difficult. They were, but the school insisted that you, in effect, spoke only English. You could, if you were caught speaking another language, they'd slap you around. There was a physical thing where, you got smacked on the head. And it was, they're wiping out whatever, that you spoke. I, at the age of 10, spoke 4 languages, and I wasn't allowed to speak to anybody but in English, which also helped by everybody, you know, and myself learning English quickly.
So how long did you stay for the school at that point then?
I was there from that December till December late in 1949. I'd actually left for, I couldn't believe my ears. Here I get a call and that we're moving to South America. And I was delighted and relieved and was so happy and want to say goodbye to the school and get out of there.
So then you moved to Uruguay?
Yes, yes,
And your father, your parents had moved there? Or?
yes. And that was like an interval of living, you know, at home and living a normal life.
But then you were sent, you came back to Whittinghame?
Yes, there was a second episode, and that was probably end of '53. And we actually moved back to Italy, and it was decided that I go back to school. I was more prepared, obviously, the second time. And I did have friends and people that I knew, and it was bad. I mean, it was, here comes the nightmare again. But and once I was in school and with the friends, etc., it was not, it was very different from that first night, the first time.
And besides your perception of it, had the school changed in that period? Had it become more international in the years that you
Well,
were there?
physically, the school, nothing changed. Everything, the same people, the same routine, the same things. But obviously, at that point, a lot of cousins, relatives, people I would know, maybe the families and this. So, and it wasn't less English. It was far less English than it was previously.
So had the rules about language also changed? Or?
No, it didn't, but the kids broke, you know, Israelis, you're never going to stop from talking Hebrew or this. It softened. It actually, and it was more accepted, but they never wanted you to speak another language.
And aside from the time in school, what about your experiences of outside school in Brighton, for example? Did you get out much and did you make friendships outside?
Oh,
of
yes,
school?
yes. Made lots of friends. Even still know some of the girls we dated. Now they're all in their 80s, but yes, met a lot of people. Get invited to many homes, in many Jewish homes. They would have us, you know, have us. I was very happy, and I really enjoyed it. Enjoyed England, enjoyed Brighton, enjoyed. They took us around to all these little towns and walks and Devil's Dyke and where who knows Arundel and this. So it was much more comfortable.
And were there any particular teachers in the school that you remember? Or
Yes,
did you
yes,
contact them?
all the teachers.
They were
Very good, amazing teachers. Our English, there was a fellow cockshot who taught English and who was, he took care also of movies, of the cinema that we would see. And there was thought and given to the movies that we would see and discussions and everything. And they were very good. And, the other English teacher, John Middleton Murray, who became afterwards a writer and this, but he memorable lessons, not only of English and this, but art appreciation, music appreciation. Taught us how to play bridge over holidays. We all of a sudden we're playing bridge, you know, and dance. You know, they decided to teach us how to dance, and all kinds of activities that the sports activities were also. I mean, and the teachers. These odds and ends of these people who I have no idea where they found them and how they connected. And two of the teachers turned out to be like scholars in Spanish. And they would, I think I was the only one like learning lessons one-on-one. And they covered Spanish literature, the golden, I mean, really amazing stuff that I would probably not have had if it wasn't for that school. And then there was another one who also from Argentina, but he was English, but born in Argentina, but very English, bow tie, dress thing, would go to Lord's for cricket matches, and very, very English. But his knowledge of literature, Spanish literature, especially Argentine literature, was just absolutely amazing. So the teachers, everybody, and there's, I'm sure somebody will talk to you or to tell you about Barry Roach, and he taught French and he taught Latin, and he took care of the theater, which they would put on a play every year. And he was amazing. He was.
And then when did you go when you finished the period at Whittinghame?
I think I finished in 58 or 59.
And did you go back to Italy at that point?
No, I went to London to study. I was at a school, a business school in London for a while. And then I had to leave. I had to leave. I had no papers. I was one of the stateless ones. And I couldn't get, my brother and sister became all of a sudden British, they think, and I was stuck there with no documents and had to go back and resident in Italy, so I went back to where my parents were.
And then and in those years after the school, did you maintain relationships with people from Whittinghame?
Always somebody, and especially with people in my own class. And really amazing, amazing. And there was a mixture there of Israeli, Lebanese, Syrian, a whole mixture of people. And we still, we had several trips, like one to Argentina, one to New York, and the boys from the same class, we would meet together. London, many times.
Did you have any working relationships, or was it sort of just friendship?
Not really, not really. No, because everybody lived kind of somewhere else.
I was just wondering about events such as this. Obviously, it's bringing people coming very long distances. What do you think it is about the experience at Whittinghame that continues to annoy you?
You know, school, it was rough. I mean, it's not, it wasn't easy. You're far away from home. And at one time, there was even, corporal punishment, which got stopped. They passed a law, and that had to stop, which was amazing. And instead of getting 6 of the best, and, I mean, really crazy stuff. So, what was the question again?
About why it is that people continue to
Oh,
be drawn to
so
Whittinghame?
it was a little bit, you know, that although the teachers were very good, and this, they were authority, and you know, you're not, you have to be careful. They could easily, they punish you. They punished quite regularly, and so you have to keep out of the eye of teachers, you know. As long as lessons and things, fine. But after that, you have to be cautious and this. And you depended on your friends, and your friends became your family, and you really trusted them. And the trust was so strong that some of the boys became partners later in life. They could depend on each other. There's one example, partner in London, a fellow goes to Hong Kong, and they could trust each other. He'll send the goods and you know, divide the profits equally, and with this. So that was, you could pick up the phone and talk. And ask anything, please pay this guy $10,000. You know, you had a contact where your trust and your word was very strong, and that connection was very different from all other.
Yeah, because we usually think about that type of trust in relationship to the sort of family, or maybe to a particular cultural group. Whereas in this case, it was all born out of the shared experiences of a school.
Yes, yes. And, you know, we're living together 24 hours a day, so. And you always were slipping out of school and, you know, going out for a meal or something, and somebody, oh, yes, I saw him, he's in bed and his thing, you know. So this way you know, they didn't want, they would cover up for you, so not to get caught, and then you get punished. So this way it became strong bonds.
And if you were to sum up your experiences, or what Whittinghame meant for you, what would you say were the sort of key things that Whittinghame meant for you?
Well, the thing that was, because I had gone to so many schools and changes and languages and all that, and when I came back, I was way behind, and in many things I couldn't catch up, and so we weren't. I wasn't a good student, you know, or not a successful student, and it was interesting how by a mixture like Smith, who was an incredible human being, and his history, his knowledge of history. So he would teach. And you'd have very informal way of. He had some classes which was very informal, and we would. You could discuss anything, and he would teach history in the most, to really love the study of that. And he was instrumental for since I was weak in my classes, he taught me how to read books. And every week we would go to the library and pick books. So there was this love for history, love for reading, and once you get going, you keep going. And the third part was my father insisted, for him books was a total waste of time, total education, a waste of time. The one thing he insisted on is that I read the Financial Times every day. I'm 13 years old. I'm obliged to read the Financial Times. And somebody is supposed to watch over me to read the Financial Times. So those three things gave me, and this mixture of Spanish literature, Italian literature, and since I spoke these other languages, etc., made it made life easier for me.
Mm.
And that, I think, was,
Because you also lived in South America.
yeah, I could, after that, point me and I would go literally, and I did. I traveled everywhere, lived in many countries, and had no, it got over your fear of what am I going to do, what's going to happen. I had no fear in that sense. Other fears, but not, so I could easily move and work and enjoy life.